how to build size and strength at the same time. All right, guys and girls, a very common question that I get a lot of times is, Chris, can I get bigger and get stronger? Or while I'm getting stronger, can I get bigger? So on either side of the coin. And to me, I've always thought logically is yes, why not? Ever since I stopped playing football, my sole goal was to get bigger. And naturally, as I got bigger, my strength went this way. Now, obviously, you reach a ceiling on some exercises, so the stand-all or be-all, end-all isn't always just linear growth, right? Because if not, I'd be bench pressing 1,000 pounds, and that's just not the case. But for the vast majority of beginners, intermediates, and low-level advanced, you can definitely do both of those at the same time if you set up your training program and nutrition properly. So what I thought I would do today is talk through 4 to 5 points about how we can do that. And the number one thing is I always recommend clients, especially when you're developing a base level of strength, is to track your progressive overload. And I'm not saying we have to do just progressive overload, because if you've ever done a training program with me, if you've ever trained with me in person, you know that that's not how I do my entirety of the session. But I do feel like there are a number of exercises per given body part that we do need to track and be progressive with. So if we're going to use chest as an example, let's say it is slight incline dumbbell press and regular traditional 45-degree incline barbell press. All day long, each and every week, I am looking for either more weight or more reps on both of those exercises. And why is that? Because once I've learned to connect to them, now I need to drive that number north. And I remember walking into Gold's when I just turned 23, and I'm working there, and all day, every day, I'd see those heavy-ass 150s. In my mind, they're heavy, right? Like, I'm like, oh man, one day I'm gonna be down at the bottom end of that rack. And I wasn't at the time. But I knew I was going to get there. And then one day I was training and the 140s went up with relative ease. And my buddy Chip looked at me and he goes, "You're grabbing the 150s, right?" And I was like, "I've never done them before." And I remember he set them on my lap just like this. And I was petrified. And in the grand scheme of life, like, I was only up 10 pounds on each hand. Like, will it really feel that big of a difference? Probably not. But psychologically, I was like, oh, Jesus. And I sit back, elbows were shaking, and I pressed like 6.5 and did 2 fourths with him. And I threw him down. I was like, yes! I remember I was like, I just pressed the heaviest dumbbells at Gold's. And as a 20-something-year-old, 23, 24, 25, I remember thinking, like, this is great. Now, in my mind, I thought, okay, cool. Now that I've pressed those for, let's say, 6 full reps on my own, how can I get that for 12? And then when I got it for 12, like, how can I do the 12 of those and make it look so smooth that it looks like a warm-up? So if you think about that progression logically, that probably took me until I was almost 30 to do. I'm finally to the point in my bodybuilding where I can sit back with 140s, 150s, don't think about it. Like, it's just, that's what we do for chest. So when you're going to the gym and you're a young guy and let's say the 50s are heavy, think, how can I get more weight, more reps while keeping my form the same? So again, like I said, for each body part, for legs, it's like you want to look at like squats and leg press and hack squats. For hamstrings, I'm thinking lying and seated leg curls. I'm thinking RDLs. For back, I'm thinking barbell and dumbbell rows or T-bar rows, lat pull downs, pull-ups. For shoulders, that's a little bit different of a body part in my mind, like kind of like a more voluminous approach with those. But at the beginning, I'm going to have all my guys do shoulder press when they're in their beginner and intermediate phase. And with that, I always have a rule of thumb. It's like, until you can press the hundreds on a dumbbell military press for a set of 12, we can't cut out pressing. Because in my mind, you have to develop that base level of strength that carries over not only for shoulder growth, but also for strength when you're pressing for your chest. So if you're thinking about all those base core exercises, I want to be able to do those and do them well. Deadlifts, barbell rows, anything that's going to be a power movement, dumbbell curls, hammer curls, all those things that we want to track progressively. So if our goal is getting bigger, we're going to increase our strength. And in my mind, if you're increasing your strength, you're gaining size. So yes, you can definitely do those. And that is a core tenet, in my opinion, for everything growth and strength related. All right, next up. So on the second half of, in my mind, of progressive overload, you have your top set, right? And that's what you're going to track in your logbook. All right, cool. Well, what if I propose this to you? On your back off, when you cut the weight by, say, 30 or 40%, I want to destroy a pump with that muscle and that exercise. So going back to the incline dumbbell, right? So let's say my top end set is I hit the 150s for 10. I'm going to drop back to the hundreds. I'm going to pulse on my chest, and then I'm going to squeeze a contraction. I'm gonna go until I literally can't move those an inch. You cannot tell me that your pump won't be excruciating after you do that. And then to me, what I'm thinking about here, guys, is I'm getting the stimulus of overload and then I'm getting stimulus of pump within the same exercise. And then I'm gonna go to incline barbell and do the same thing. So let's say I work up to 315, I hit it for 8, I drop down to 225, I do every one of those pulls on my chest, drive up, not lock out, but keep the tension on my chest. I'm getting top set heavy, I'm getting the back off for pump. So in my mind, all of those gotta go hand in hand. If I'm looking at it from a totality of the session, for example, let's say I'm doing legs. And for quads, I'm doing progressive overload with squats. I'm gonna do, let's say I work up to 5 plates and I hit a hard set of 7 to 8. And then for my back off, I'm gonna do another hard 7 or 8 with a pulse in the hole, and I'm gonna drop down to 4 plates this time, or 3 plates. Okay, so that's all strength that's working towards driving stimulus through growth with weight. Next, I'm going to leg press. I'm gonna do 2 sets of 20. And then I do a hack squat. I'm gonna go back to progressive overload. I'm gonna try to get to 6 plates and do 15. And then to finish the day, I'm gonna do crazy pump on the leg extension work. So for my quads, I'm doing 2 progressive overload movements in the squat and the hack squat, and I'm doing 2 pump with the leg press and the leg extension. So when you look at that as a whole, I'm getting stuff for strength, I'm getting stuff for size. So that's how you kind of scratch both itches within the same workout. All right, so if you can see the theme within those first 2 talking points is everything is do the basics. And the reason I feel the need to say that to the camera on YouTube today is because if you pull up Instagram right now and just scroll like this, anything fitness related, you're gonna see all this little cute, pumpy, squeezy bullshit. And honestly, you'll even see some of it on my page. Why? Because it's effective for activation, it's effective for pump. But if you're trying to increase size and strength simultaneously, I don't think you need a single arm cable row with a semi-supinated grip squeezing my lat fibers for a 2 count contraction. I just don't. I need bang for my buck if I want size and strength. Because to me, I think size and strength, I think base level bodybuilding, I think athletes, I think strongmen, powerlifters who just want to be big, or maybe just guys who want to look jacked on the beach and be strong and functional. To me, you don't need all that cute stuff. All that cute stuff is for advanced level bodybuilding in my opinion, or not at all. You'll never see me do a sideways chest press, that thing's garbage. So when I say do the basics, if you want strength, we have to pick up heavy things, and particularly dumbbells and barbells. Do I think you can get strong on a machine? Yes. And a cable? Yes, I do. But do I think you cannot get away from the basics? And the answer is that's just a fact. If you want to be big and strong, you need the basics. So to me, like that's what I always think about for talking point number 3. The 4th one, and that is training all rep ranges. Now I'm going to say training all rep ranges, but I never believe going below 5 reps. 1, safety, and 2, if I'm after size, I think it's pretty useless. So anything 5 to 50, I'm good with. So imagine this, and this is how I always thought about it. I remember the first time I ever unracked 315 and tried to go for 20 on squats. I remember the first time I ever tried to pick up 405 on the deadlift for 20. All those little things scared me way more than a hard set of 5 to 6 because it's over like that. Where I know 315, 365, I've done 405 for 20 before. That was probably one of the hardest sets of squats I've ever done in my life with John. It's gonna test me more mentally because the duration of that set is much longer. The lactic acid is much worse. My heart rate and breathing gets out of control. So what I want you guys to think about here is get strong within all rep ranges. So 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 15, and then 15 plus is gonna be how I look at that. So if you look at all of that in terms of rep ranges and getting strong, to me, no matter where that strength becomes applicable to you, you're able to last. So if you're an endurance athlete, like a Spartan runner or a racer, or if you're an athlete, like one of the most powerful things one of my coaches ever said to me is, Chris, like if you can run 4.4 in the first quarter, but you run 5.4 in the fourth quarter, you're not the same receiver. And the way I think about that is in the weight room, if I'm strong on exercise 1 and 2, I'm weaker on 3 and 4, and I'm trash on 5 and 6, I'm losing growth. On the flip side of that, if my strength is drastically plummeting after those first 2 or 3 exercises, how can I expect my body to get better? So that goes back to an old topic that Chaz and I filmed, workout capacity, and that's just gonna come down to you getting in better shape. Just simple as that, guys. Like, hold yourself to a higher standard. So again, I like to be strong along all rep ranges. And a great example of that is anytime someone comes into town, and let's say we do a hard chest day, and it's all relatively lower reps. Everything's under 12. When we get to shoulders and I do reverse pec deck and we're doing sets of 30 and they use a quarter of the weight that I'm using, it's because they aren't used to that high rep range. I'm like, how in the world are you using that much weight for 30? I'm like, this taking years to get here, bro. So what I want you guys to think about is get strong amongst all the rep ranges, and you'll find that not only will you get exceptionally good growth in terms of muscle out of it, but you'll also be, what I would mind, like a more well-rounded athlete. And then last thing here, point number 5, is gonna be you have to eat and recover. And particularly if you're thinking about strength and maintaining it through the course of the session, you know what I think about the importance of intra-workout nutrition. So 1.5 to 2 scoops of granite recovery, 10 grams of creatine monohydrate, and a ton of water intra-workout, so 1 to 2 liters of water. That to me is like step 1 and the most easy thing we can do, because you're gonna drink when you're training, right? So you might as well have nutrients going in while you're training. So easy fix there, plus it tastes good. Now, the food away from my workout, meaning what I eat before, what I eat after, to me that's gonna play such a huge role in boosting strength, because if I'm constantly under eating and being in a deficit, how can I ever expect my body to gain muscle and gain strength? The answer is it won't. So we have to push our calories north, and that's protein, carbs, and fats. Particularly something, a little cool fun fact that I've always learned, is I trash carbohydrates before, during, and after my workout, and I eat high protein throughout the course of my day, and then put fats at the extreme ends of my diet, meaning first and last meals, I've been able to always stay pretty lean doing that. So you see me filming this, veins are everywhere, just sitting here chilling in a warm gym. And it's because I have my nutrition dialed in perfectly for me. So again, that's gonna take some personal touch there, because everyone's body is different and requires different energy systems. But I can tell you this right now, like for guys out there who come to me and they're eating 200 or below grams of protein, they're over 200 pounds on the scale, the number one thing I do is jump that protein north by 100. I'm saying we're gonna eat 300 grams of protein spread over the course of 6 meals, so that's 50 grams of protein per meal. Within 2 weeks, they say this, man, I am so much stronger, and my muscle has so much more density to it. And I'm like, funny how that works, right? If you want to gain muscle, you got to eat muscle. I've said that countless times on this channel. So I know the new cool science bros approach, like, oh, Chris, like carbs are protein sparing. Save that bullshit for somebody else. I'm telling you right now, you want to see strength and size increases, take that protein north, and you will be thanking me in the comment section like, Chris, like I haven't seen this much growth since I was in my 20s, and that's because you're under eating protein. All right, guys, there you have it. 5 ways or 5 bullet points for gaining size and strength at the same time. So being big, being strong, it's a magical combo that I think every man wants, even though they might not admit it out loud. But I know I've been chasing that since shit, I was 13 probably, and I'm gonna keep chasing that until you put me in a day on grave. So if you like this video, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Be strong, be big, be a monster.